Future Proof is sponsored by Learn Smart Academy, online revision courses for GCSE and A-Level. All your revision in one place, organised for you, interactive and game-changing. Welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for joining me, Sarah Hopwood, as I now conclude these two programs talking about time management. And just going into the break, I was talking about COVEY's time management tool, where we have the box of urgent, not urgent, important and not important. And I was saying, to me, the two most important boxes are box number 2. That's where you should be having weekly meetings, looking at your workload and making sure you're doing all you can to have your workload in box 2. If you are in box 1, that should be from your agenda. Just make sure it's not constantly other people's agendas because of their procrastination or their inefficiency. If you are being drawn into box 3, then just get out of there as soon as you can. Yes, just get out of there as soon as you can. So, COVEY's Rocks, there you are, this is just COVEY's Rocks. COVEY basically says that if we don't get the rocks in a jar first, then we can't get everything else in. And usually when people see this tool in real life, and I have actually done it at Brighton City College, and I ask the volunteers to put the rocks in, and I say, is it full? And of course they say, yes, it is. And then there we are, it's following you. And then I put in some shingle, or I got a volunteer to, and then I asked, is it full? And of course they then cotton on and go, well, it's not, but I don't know what you're going to put in next. And then they then say, right, let's put in some sand. So I got a volunteer to do that. Is it full? And of course, then they start saying yes. And then I fill it up with water. And again, you ask, now is the jar full? And what I always used to do was put shells on the top, which to me signified happiness. But the key thing that COVEY is teaching here is, what is the point of the exercise? And most people give the answer. The point of the exercise is, it's amazing how much you can fit into your life. And that is not the lesson that COVEY is teaching here. COVEY is saying, if you hadn't put the rocks in first, basically you would have never have got them in. So when we are looking at self-management and time management, we need to identify, what are the rocks in our life? What are those rocks? And again, I draw you back, and I don't want to be morbid here, but draw you back to end of life stuff. And what are the things that you could regret, or that you will wish for more of? And it's usually around from health and relationships, and spirituality as well features very, very high too. So these should be areas that guide us as to where our rocks are. And the people that I've worked with before now have invested more in family relationships, have actually invested more in their own free time, got themselves off a hamster wheel, maybe invested in some hobbies, and again looked after their health and relationships, and also then reading and investigating and learning. Lots of people like to do that as well. So here is a simple tool which I'm not going to spend too much time on, just looking at accounting for where time is and how you want to maybe adjust it. And that's something that, takes a bit of time, and very often it's quite good to maybe work it with a loved one. From that, you can then draw up a to-do list, which is very, very helpful. And then saying no or delegate as well. I've already touched on that. Maybe personal journals are quite good to record some of the visioning that you want. Another thing I would say here is draw it. Draw your new life, draw your new normal, and maybe put that picture up around. Maybe get the family to do it. If you've got a family, get the kids to do it, and see if they all link. That's really powerful, and also it communicates to everybody what everybody else wants. But there are barriers. There are things that will stop you. And what happens is, if you don't deal with those barriers, like pain, the money, children, retrenchment. It's got there too. If you keep resisting, then the energy just grows and grows and grows. If you actually address the barriers, walk towards them, confront them, then you come out the other side. And not every time, but there are many times that you say, do you know what, that was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. When you are improving anything from a business to your own time management and all the rest of it, you need to address structure, waste and beliefs. And I have talked about this before, so I'm going to move on straight away now, talking about the importance of beliefs. Just remember, whatever you believe is true. It's really important. You will never achieve more than you believe you can achieve. That's quite powerful. For those who have wild dreams and what have you, that excites them. But for anybody else, you think, oh, so that's an endorsement then that I'm not going to get, what I said I wanted. No, just change your belief system and find a way, get people around you to encourage you and to spur you on and say, come on, you can. So just be careful about your beliefs. And the next question too is, do you believe what you see? Or do you see what you believe? I'll ask that again. Do you believe what you see, or do you see what you believe? And usually we actually see what we believe. As human beings, we're wired to think that we are always right. And so therefore we will find supporting evidence that filters in. We literally filter it in. Anything that supports what we believe. Why? Because we're wired to say, I was right. See, I told you so. And I speak from personal experience, from things that I believed about myself in education, the things that I was told at school, and and then I'd get exam results that weren't what I really kind of wanted, but it was in line with my belief system. And then I would say, see, I told you this was going to happen, and why did I bother anyway? And one of the big things that knocked me was on one occasion, I just remember when I was really young, I was probably about 10, deciding that I really was going to revise for a biology test. And I did, and I came second in the class, and no one believed it. So they actually looked at the people I was sat around, even though we were spaced out, they were trying to work out how I had got some answers from papers around me. And to me, that I threw the towel in. I thought, well, why should I bother? Even when I do become second, no one's believed me. Where what I should have done is actually said, right, yes, I haven't always scored well. I did score well today. I'm going to make sure I score well tomorrow. So I should have built on that good result rather than basically throw my toys out the pram and say a kind of see, told you so. So we've got to be really, really careful with what we believe. You will never achieve more than you believe you can. So, and once you want to maybe dream big, start drawing it, commit it to the world, tell people what you want to do. I've seen some wonderful, wonderful results. So here's a one-page plan, and this is just an example. This isn't real. This is literally, if you like, just being made up just to draw examples. What I want to say here is just make sure that you have the time bound, when is this going to be done, and by whom is a big, big thing. So you record where you are now, you then record where you want to be, which is tied up with the now, where, how, and the how is then those lower columns underneath those top two. The strategies, which is like your mission statement, think of Mission Impossible, and then from each strategy you can then draw up some action plans, and then, as I say, that very, very important right hand column, lower right hand column, when is this going to be done, by whom and where, and then make sure that you have some key performance indicators that you actually look and say, right, how will I know when I've got there? And these are examples here of key performance indicators. And make sure also, when you identify key performance indicators, please just make sure that you also put in a reward. It ties up with the SMARTer goals. Specific, measured, agreed, relevant. I know they're different to you, what you know, time bound, and then evaluate and reward. Very, very, very important. And just to conclude, just remember, there is no magic method of the beginning of time management. You can't buy more time, you cannot sell time. Time is a tremendous leveler. Nothing is achieved in waiting until next week or even until tomorrow. Perfect conditions will never appear. So motion and having the beginnings of a plan are absolutely key. Before you begin, a few words of wisdom: beware of taking too much at the start. Now this is about time, and it's like, think of presentations too. How many speakers have you seen stand up to talk? Their introduction has lasted far too long, and then they've run out of time to deliver the real meaty content of their presentation. And last, be content with small gains and build on them. So I commend you. Time management is self-management. It's about being highly effective and efficient. Please make sure you're addressing the right issue, and that actually distraction is not your problem through addiction and other things that, if you like, are pulling you away from doing what you're supposed to be doing. And lastly, make sure in this new normal you normalize your new normal. Good luck, everybody.